Hey guys, this is Nirupam from the Underwater Photography Guide and Blue Water Photo. I'm here today with Andy Sallmon from CNC. We are in La Jolla Shores, and we're going to be talking about the new CNC universal housing for Sony cameras.
All right, well thanks everybody for tuning in. Welcome to winter in San Diego here, sunny San Diego. Now a week ago it was raining cats and dogs here and everything was flooded, so we did get the bad weather like most of the rest of you, but today looks pretty good. And of course Nirupam and I decided, no, we're not going to dive today because after all the rain there must be runoff and it must be horrible. But as you can probably see in the background, it's gorgeous. It looks like the Bahamas out there, but a lot colder. Anyway, I'm Andy Sallmon, I'm from CNC. And I'm here today to talk to you about, give you kind of a preview of our new Sony MDX AU housing. The AU stands for universal, and what they mean by that is the manufacturer in Japan took the housing and made it so that it could take several different camera models. Now, the hitch to that is some of the controls have O-ring seals on them, so we get them here. We're the CNC distributor in the US, and we get them here and we tell them which models we want, so they pretty much come out of the box and we order them that way. But there is a certain amount of leeway and there's a certain amount of interchangeability that Nirupam and I haven't even explored on these things yet. They come with a few extra control buttons in the package, a couple of different L-shaped things for the back of the tray to fit thicker or thinner cameras. So it looks like 2 or 3 of the different models of camera might be user replaceable, so to speak, with maybe just a simple screwdriver and changing a couple little rubber buttons out inside the thing. But then some of the cameras are going to require actual control replacement, and you might even notice there's a flat up here on the top of the A1. This is the A1 version. On the top of the A1 housing, it doesn't have a control, but that's a control point for another model of camera. And this one would be blank on another model of camera, but not on the one for the A1. So anyway, we've got the Sony A1, the cream of the crop, the big kahuna camera. Everybody's very excited about it. I am too. I'm a Canon shooter, and I'm excited about a Sony camera. That's amazing. But some of the things that the company has changed, first of all, I'd like to lead in, which is saying the company has completely changed. CNC Japan is no longer owned by the people that owned it previously. That occurred last year, or maybe a little bit before that. I've kind of lost track of time with COVID, but yeah, I think it's been about 1.5 years since the new owners took it over. They also own fisheye underwater photography in Japan, a big retailer in Japan, and now they're manufacturing the CNC products. So it's a completely different management, completely different ownership. Everything has changed. All the old people are gone and it's all new. And this is their first major product that they put out. They put out a couple of smaller products that have been pretty innovative. Before, you might be, if you're a CNC user, you might have been using one of our housings with the Leak Sentinel leak detector system, vacuum system on it. That's all gone. We have our own system based into this now, so I'll be pointing out some of those features in a couple of minutes. But some big changes, and we're pretty excited about it. So let's jump right in. Now, I brought the R5 housing here, which was a great seller for us. I shoot the R5. I'm a Canon guy, as I mentioned before. And one of the things I just wanted to show right off the bat, kind of the first feature of the AU housing. Now, mind you, this is the R5, the old beat up one. That's mine, used. This is a brand new AU housing, Sony A1, for the Sony A1. And take a look at the back plate and the different size of the back plate. That is a 2-fold increase in size. So the benefit for you is if you like to use the back monitor, you're going to be able to see it much better on this new product. And that will be something you'll see going forward in all CNC housings from now on. The benefit for all of us is that they're able to put these controls over here into the plate. And you might be going, well, I don't know about that. That's not acrylic. It is acrylic. It's really tough. And there's no corrosion around these. So for those of you that use your stuff a lot like me, or just don't do proper maintenance like me sometimes, you're not going to get corrosion in this area. And it's going to be real easy for us to have a number of different plates throughout the line, not just with our Sony system, but with Canon and Nikon as well, that we can just change these plates out and they can be interchangeable, and perhaps we'll have universal housings for all lines and all models. that remains to be seen. So that's one of the big changes. I mentioned the vacuum system and leak detector system now, and we've got our own. We're no longer using the Leak Sentinel. That's this little guy right here. I just took the cap off there. We've got a new hand pump. It's got CNC on it, so if you see one of these hand pumps out there, I'm sure there's some company out in China making these things. They can't steal yours because it says CNC. You simply put this up on top like so and seal it up and then pump away one-handed like that. No more the two-handed wine cork thing. It connects inside to our what appears to be our old leak detector system, and the base leak detector system was just an LED light that flashed. Well, you know, it's kind of like the light in your car. By the time your oil's too low and that flashes, it's too late. So that little light's still in there, but now the vacuum system is attached to that as well. So it's got its own little circuit board in there and its own firmware, and now it will detect vacuum. It knows when there's changes in temperature and all those different things that can foul up a vacuum sensor like that. It's a pretty sophisticated little product. By the way, it can be put into a housing that had the Leak Sentinel. If you'd rather switch over to that, we do sell that as a kit as well. So that's another big change from the new brass. Some of the things you might be used to in our housings now, which were kind of new from a couple of years ago, are the cushy grips. So we still have our same CNC aluminum anodized grip here. Pretty nice grip. It's a smaller grip for someone with big hands like me. It works fine. With gloves on, it starts to get a little tight, especially when I'm diving really cold water, like up into the Pacific Northwest. But it still works fine. I can reach everything real easy. Those of you with medium to smaller hands are going to love these grips because they're perfect. The addition of this silicone insert into there puts a squeezy part onto it, and the thing is really squeezy. It's like softer than a pencil eraser. So if you're diving barehanded someplace, if they require that, or you just like to dive without gloves in warmer water, boy, it's much nicer on your hands. We do include ball mounts with all of our housing systems, and we also include these eyelets so that you can connect something to them to carry the whole system around. The other thing that is notable about our housings is we put, well, we've already got Sam with a brand new housing. We put these what we call sacrificial zinc diodes on the bottom here, and those can be replaced, of course. So these are going to help prevent the electrolytic action, the electrolysis that occurs because of the dissimilar metals, especially when you get into salt water. Salt water accelerates that electrochemical reaction. We've got a little bumper on the bottom now to prevent the base from getting scratched, and we also put this nice rubber deal on the bottom, and we've had this for a long time. This is our tripod socket, and that didn't used to be that big a deal when everybody was just pretty much shooting stills and video was kind of an afterthought. Now everybody's shooting video and stills are becoming the afterthought. So if you want to place your camera underwater on a nice little tripod or some kind of a mount, this is a great feature and one that doesn't really get enough praise. We remodeled the handles a couple years ago. We used to run the screws, these steel screws, right into the aluminum. That wasn't a good system, so now we run it through it and into a nut. So that's the bottom of the housing. Looking at the top of the housing, we've got, of course, the vacuum system here on the A1. This is a specific control for the A1. I believe that's the mode control. This little port here is so that you can port in a video monitor, a separate monitor or monitor recorder in a separate housing on top. That's really a good idea if you're serious about video. Any of these small cameras, the R5 I know has kind of got a bad rap for overheating, and the A1s can overheat too. We've had people report back to us that A1s will overheat in certain conditions. And you know, we don't know all the time. Nearpalm shoots in cold water. I shoot in semi-cold water. A lot of people shoot in really warm water, and it's warm outside where they're at. So it's harder for a camera to handle all that massive amount of 8K footage without overheating when it's 40 or 50 degrees warmer in the air and 15, 20, 30 degrees warmer in the water. So that port is there. We've got a port on this side. Now this requires just some explanation. That port there, of course, is for an electro sync port, for an electro sync cable, and we have dual or single cables. A lot of people like those. I kind of prefer them over the fiber optics. It's a toss-up. There's less maintenance with the fiber optics for sure. You don't have all the O-rings. But if you like that, you can get the system configured that way right out of the box. So we actually have a part number for one with a port here, We have a part number for one with a flash trigger inside, so manual optical, and we have a part number for one with a YS converter inside as well. And I didn't bring all models here. The one I got here is just one with the manual flash trigger inside it. And we'll show you that. Keep this stuff as clean as I can because Nearpalm's going to take it diving in a few days, I think. So there's the flash trigger, no big deal, on-off switch. Put a 2032 battery, I believe, into that, and then you put that up into the socket on the top of the camera. One of the other things I wanted to point out that's new and innovative design from the new owners and the new engineers is the port removal, and you can see some of it right there, the port lock, I should say. So that's the port lock itself, real simple little device. But now, instead of the old switch that we had underneath, like with the R5 and some of the others, we've got a locking switch right here, which keeps it from moving. And then this lever, once this lever is thrown out like that, you can actually just remove the port, of course. And now we'll take a little close-up from the other side. Maybe you can see it better. That is the locking bar right there that traps into the back of the housing bayonet. So that's a really, really nice feature that they put in there that doesn't get talked about very much. So I'm pretty excited about this. And like I said, for a Canon guy to be excited about a Sony system, that's really saying something. Short of that, everything is pretty much same old CNC. We're coming in at about 6 1/3 pounds, so we're probably on the lighter end of most of the housings out there. Dimensionally, we're on the smaller end. We're smaller than Ikelite, we're smaller than Nauticam. Haven't measured it up against an Aquatica yet, or an Isata. Haven't had side-by-side checks on those yet. Oh yeah, there's one other feature. You probably noticed it. I forgot to even mention it. Our fiber optic cables, where they go in, you can compare this to the trusty old R5 here. We've got a cover now, so the cable can't get pulled out accidentally. One of the worst things that happens, probably more when you're shooting wide angle because you're moving your strobes quite a bit, at least I do, is that the fiber optic cables, if you're using them, can pop right out of here. These covers are really tight in mine, but I'll get them out of here. Oh well, who cares? Anyway, there's a slot there for the fiber optic hole. So this cover got the same ports there as this one does. Doesn't have those, of course. I've plugged a fiber optic cable into there so you can see it going in. And this cover just catches on the one side and then pushes in over on the other side. And when the cable's installed, you can't pull it out. Easy peasy. They put a little strap on that just in case this thing tries to get away from you. So now everything is the rest CNC. Small, lightweight, nice grips, great for medium and small hands, pretty good for big hands too, even with gloves on. So that's it. That's the new CNC universal housing for Sony, the AU. I didn't mention the models. I wanted to save that for last so you'd remember. So it takes the Sony A1, of course, the Sony A7S III, the video version, takes the Sony A7R IV, the A7R IV, and now the A7R V, and it can also take the A9 II if you want. So what is that, 6 models or something like that?
Yeah, 6 models.
And I guess if Sony comes out with another one in 2 months, we'll add that probably too, because we've set this up as a universal system so it can be compatible with several different models. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks Andy. Thanks a lot.